welcome back to Rebecca's Random Adventures. In September, we were able to go and visit a friend and enjoy some nature and swimming, and I was so excited I made myself a new swim dress. It was really easy to make, it's so practical and fun. I just thought I wanted to share it with all of you. I went to the sports shop Decathlon and I saw these gigantic water sports t-shirts on sale and they're huge. This is double XL and I got the biggest one I could find. Like, it's in a nice water sports fabric. It's stretchy, it's water kind of like water repelling. You know what you wear, like it's swimsuit fabric. I thought it would be nice to make like a summer swim dress. Something that you cannot really buy in the store, but that is quick and simple to make and nice for like water sports activities, going to the beach and so forth, and inexpensive. It's about as large as one of my tables. It is so big. Here it says that it offers UV protection, which is fantastic. I'm not going to be going for a lining. This is nice. It's not too thick. I think it's just nice. I would probably wear like a tank top underneath. I usually do. And so this will be on its own without a lining. So this will be similar to how I made my t-shirt dress. I'm just going to grab a t-shirt and put it over this and see like how it goes. I see myself just following this, cutting all the way down here, down the sides, and then doing the sleeves separately. Since the neckline of the water sports shirt fit pretty well, I only basically needed to cut the sides away so that I would have something that fits me. So I put a t-shirt on top and I followed it. Now, if you're not planning to add side pieces, you would want to add a seam allowance because you need space to sew the front and back seams together. But what I did was I just followed the t-shirt exactly without adding seam allowances, but I added a strip of another fabric, as you shall soon see, to give it like a cute swimsuit type design. So you can see how simple the project is. I basically took the sleeve and the body of the large water sports t-shirt and I cut it down smaller. I cut the sleeve smaller. I basically took an existing t-shirt, added 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I cut that out. In the middle, you can see the giant water sports t-shirt that I just showed you that I cut out. And at the side, I took a contrasting fabric, like a floral fabric. The bottom was already hemmed, so all I needed to do was cut like a kind of like shape like you see here, like a rectangle that ends at a point on top. To be honest, I did not measure the width of the rectangle. I just made sure basically that it would be big enough for me to be able to wear the swim dress comfortably. I don't mind if it was slightly bigger. So maybe it was about 3.5 to 4 inches wide. So that's including the seam allowance and the extra fabric that I wanted to make it slightly bigger and looser. And then it just ends at a point on top. The curve and the angle doesn't really matter as long as it ends at a point. I actually just cut out a rectangle strip and then I had to sew it into a point because I forgot that it needed to end at a point so that my sleeve would fit correctly. In any case, what you need to make sure is that for your strip of fabric, the rectangle on the right, you need to make sure that points A to B match points A to B, which is from the underarm to the hem of the bodice pieces, the front and back pieces. The bottom of the rectangle strip of fabric was already hemmed, so I just needed to make sure that it would match from A to B and just be attached to the shirt. I didn't measure, but the only other thing to make sure is that your armhole matches. So I used the bodice as a guide to make sure that the sleeve piece that I cut, the one on the left, matched from C to D, which is the top of the sleeve, to the bottom. And obviously it's folded, so you need to make sure that the whole thing matches the front and back together. I have the bodice here. And then all along the side of the bodice, I'm going to be sewing the strip floral fabric. And that will hopefully give it like a kind of a different feel as well as like a swimsuit kind of feel. Just going to be sewing it back to back. So the insert, the rectangle piece, was also cut from very similar swimsuit type fabric, but it's just an inexpensive polyester stretch knit. It's very slippery and it's actually not so easy to sew with. It's kind of like swimsuit fabric where it's so slippery and you know that it's synthetic materials for sure. So how I sew this kind of slippery synthetic material is all I do is adjust the tension on the machine. I use normal needles and I use a wide zigzag stitch. That is all. That is what I found like through experimentation works on my sewing machine. I even bought like special ballpoint needles. None of it, like that stuff doesn't work. I just find the normal sewing machine needle, normal thread, normal zigzag stitch, because I don't have a serger. And you might be wondering, do I need like a special serger to do this kind of project? Maybe. I don't think you need to. It seems to work well enough for me doing it this way. So I took the sleeve scrap that was left over and I basically cut it smaller. That's all, making sure that C to D, which is the top of the arm to the bottom of the armhole, matched the bodice that I had already cut out. That was all. It was really a simple matter of trimming. I wasn't very precise about it, and unfortunately, the camera just like malfunctioned while I was filming it. So I didn't manage to catch that part. Then what I did after that was, you can see here, I have one of the sleeve pieces that I needed to sew the underarm seam together. So I just folded it and sewed the underarm seam together inside out. Since the sleeve, the sleeve was already hemmed, that was all I needed to do. I lost the footage of me attaching the sleeve, but I do have one of me making a t-shirt. So we have the front and back pieces joined together at the shoulder seam, and then I have the sleeve piece, and what I did was that thick part is for the front and the narrow part is for the back, and then I just pin it on like this so that when I sew it out it comes like that. So I'm going to pin the other side now. Center. So the center is joined to the center right here. So I have joined the center, and now I just take the sides. And the good thing about knit fabric is it's very forgiving. You can get away with not doing everything entirely precisely. Like if the sleeve doesn't match completely, that's okay. You can just slightly tweak it. Pinning makes a huge difference. I can definitely say if you're new to making a t-shirt dress or t-shirts in general, sewing it with knit fabric, pin, because yeah, you may be able to do it by eye at the sewing machine, but it's just so much easier to prevent mistakes than to undo and unpick them. If you find that pinning is not enough, then you might want to baste it by hand loosely with a contrasting thread, and that's just sewing it with very large stitches very loosely, and it's a kind of pinning, so that is called basting. And so I went to the sewing machine. It's very simple. Once everything was pinned, just to sew it together. It literally only took minutes. So this is the final t-shirt swimsuit dress. It was very easy. It was just basically a cut, attach the rectangle, and cut and attach the sleeve. Because it was mostly already pre-hemmed, the neckline was in place, the hem was in place, so all these pieces just needed to be trimmed and then put back together. So do like and subscribe and stay tuned for more random videos. Bye!